In terms of Sonic the Fighter stuff, I have done too much stuff. I have done very simple things, and stuff I probably belong in a mental asylum for. But now, I'm probably going to be talking about many other different things that a lot of people don't talk about. We're going to be talking about unused stages. So, let's get into it. The first unused stage is the Death Eggs Hangar. It's not exactly unused, but a variant of the stage is. This variant of the stage was most likely used for multiplayer matches. As in early screenshots, we could see a Fang and Amy matchup on the stage with a 30-second timer. There's also some assets missing, like the floor and the ceiling. It was most likely cut because they didn't want to spoil the final boss stage. Another reason why this stage was cut would most likely be due to the poly limit, as Fang and Bean are notoriously known for ruining the poly limit by making certain stage assets flicker, most notably in Canyon Cruise. So I can imagine it was most likely cut for one of these two reasons, which kinda sucks, as this is one of my favorite stages in the game, and I hope modders are able to bring it back soon. But for now, it will just be unused until someone fixes it. This next stage is absolutely nothing. It's just a bright blue background, and that's it. This stage was most likely Sunset Town. Why? Well, considering there's nothing, and the game is trying to load in models that do exist, they just have no polygons associated with them. Which does make sense, considering none of the assets in the game at all are still left over in the game, unless a beta build is found and some of those assets are there, but I digress from my points. Either way, that's what most likely the stage was. And to prove my point even further, the background is a slightly different color than all the other backgrounds. You see guys, that's what just makes it different. This next stage is apparently an early version of Mushroom Hill. Now, the only real difference on this stage is that the gate is kinda a little bit close together, and the background is different. But instead of it being a solid color, it's actually in texture in the game, which is the spores that come out of the mushrooms. And they have this weird blue texture on it. But the most shocking thing is that it actually has a different color background compared to the normal Mushroom Hill. And again, going off beta screenshots again, we can see that, yeah, Mushroom Hill did have a different background. Here's what it looks like if it's restored. I honestly think it's a little bit better than the original, but, you know, honestly, there's nothing else really to say about this one again. This next stage is an early version of South Island, and unfortunately this is the last early stage in the game, because every other stage is going to be really boring. Now as we can see, the gate's a lot more closed in, and a bit more obvious this time, and the palm trees are way more closer to those poles than they should be. And well, you know what I'm about to say, aren't I? So I'll just show the little transition screen right here. And this next stage is a clone of South Island. But hey, we got the bridge back though, so that's pretty cool. Yay! As for this clone stage though, the reason why it exists is pretty weird. This stage is used for, of all things, the intro cutscene at the start of the game. And the last unused stage, that's playable at least, is used for a cutscene again. And it's specifically used for the Tails Hangar cutscene where they view the rocket, and the one where they leave flying on the airplane. And yeah, that's it. And there's also nothing here because the models need to be loaded in manually via coding and stuff. The last three stages that I cannot load are like the Call of the Forgotten 3, because these stages cannot be loaded by any means whatsoever. And all their code names go by 28 being Coliseum, 30 being labeled as Snow, and 98 being labeled as Normal. Now, I have a few guesses on what each of these stages could be, so I'm going to be shortening them down a bit so I don't have to make this video as long as I can possibly can. I think 28 was most likely either a placeholder name for the hangar stage or was a completely different stage altogether, because the hangar itself does not have a name in its data. Snow was most likely an early version of Aurora Icefield saved, as that's why South Island and Mushroom Hill were both, in their early versions, left over in the data. I'm assuming when games or levels were reviewed or something, they would leave them in the game for reference, I guess. And 98 was most likely a stage used for debugging purposes, so they would be able to use the debug mode to view models and stuff, so they would all have their own textures saved in, without having to change to a certain stage to view those correct stages' textures, which I think would work. Anyways, that'll be it for this video. What do you think about unused stages in this game? Which one is your favorite if you even have one? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I don't really have much to say anymore, so I'll see you guys soon.